We're learning again the pasuk where Yaakov Avinu has a tremendous amount of ava toward Rachel. And Perek Kaftet pasuk Yochet he says, "Vayahav Yaakov et Rachel vayomer avdecha sheva shanim berachel bitcha haktana." So the question we need to understand is, what is the idea of the emphasis of Rachel, bitcha, and ktana? Is it not well known that Rachel is his daughter? Why the necessity of bitcha haktana? And further, we're going to understand a little bit more deeply the idea of why he's asking Dafka for 7 years. So Rashi tells us, Berachel bitcha ktana, kol siman halalu lama. Why all these details? Lefi shaya yodeh bo shehu ramat, because he realized that Lavan was a person who wasn't honest. Amar lo avdecha berachel. If he just said, "I'll work for Rachel," v'shema tamar Rachel acheret min hashuk, perhaps he'll bring another girl whose name is Rachel. Talmud lomar bitcha. That's why it says your daughter Rachel, not any Rachel. V'shema tomar achlif l'leah, shma v'ekra shma Rachel. Perhaps there'll be a switch between Rachel and Leah, and he'll call Leah Rachel. Talmud lomar haktana. He therefore says the younger daughter, so you can't switch Rachel and Leah. V'af al pikein lo ho'ilo sharei rimahu. It didn't help all of these details, because in the end he tricked him anyway. So here we need to understand what Rashi's teaching us by being so specific with all of these details. So comes along the Pirkei Torah on page 16 and tells us the following. The Pirkei Torah tells us, he says, V'adavar tamua, ma hayta nechitzut liYaakov litano kol ha'tanaim ha'ele. Why was it necessary for Yaakov Avinu to have all of these tanaim? Halo hakol hayu yodim sharachel bito nitkavein b'dvarav. Did not everyone know that to whom Yaakov Avinu was talking about? Ubavarav ad sheva shanim v'aleh hayta dato, and upon her was the mindset of these 7 years. V'im kein lo haya yachol Lavan lavoli deito it says there's no question that anyone can make a mistake. V'im mipnei shekirbo shuramai v'chashash shitein lo acheret im kein ma yo'ilu kol tanaim shitana u'kafi shachen kach hayash rimao lamrot kol tanaim. And if you want to say he was worried that Lavan was a trickster and therefore he had all the details, but in the end he tricked him anyway. So what was the point of all the details? Vanira b'seh. So the Pirkei Torah of Kifter tells us a yesod. K'fi shebe'arnu b'perushenu to Parshas Toldos. She'Yaakov be'kiro kolchos hanefesh shel hadam. Yaakov Avinu understood the human psyche. Yada shemidos ha'adam mitchalkot l'kama madregos. There are different levels of the midos of a person. V'nakel yoter la'adam l'shaker. It's easier for a person to lie. Af shakom mevinim shu shaker, even though everyone knows it's a lie. Im yeshlo pitchon peh l'taretz diburo. If there's somewhat of an opening that he can, somehow explain, or, there's a loophole that he can get away with his lie. V'gam efshar lo az la'is panav b'yoter kalud, and then it's easier for him to, show himself. Aval k'she'en lo pitchon peh, but if there's mamish no opening, Rachel bitcha haktana, not any Rachel, not any daughter, your only youngest daughter whose name is Rachel. Sometimes that's enough of a deterrent to make sure the person doesn't lie. So therefore the Tanaim were there, even though he was aware that Lavan may trick him. But he made it more difficult for Lavan to do it. He made it more uncomfortable for Lavan to do it. And maybe indeed it would be to such a level that Lavan wouldn't have the audacity to make such a switch. The problem was, with most normal people, that would have been a sufficient deterrent, that there's no out in Rachel B'Tchaktana. But Lavan, who's so mushcha, who had such bad mitos, for Lavan that was no deterrent whatsoever, which for most people it would have been, that there was no out, and he goes ahead and he tricks him anyway. Just to go over a number of the ideas on why did he wait 7 years? It seems to be an extraordinarily long time for anybody to wait for marriage. So there are a number of approaches among the Mefarshim. I'd like to just focus in on one or two of them. The first being the Malbim on page 2 of the booklet, where the Malbim says the following: Vayomer Mikol Eila Tamim Amar Evdecha Sheva Shanim L'mashal Shechashav V'data. Why? What was the thinking of Yaakov Avinu? Shirachel Mitzad Sheyifatorah V'shohevota Tzarich Lavod Gimel Shanim. Being such a beautiful woman whom he loved, 3 years seems to be a reasonable amount of time.